Good evening, everyone, and welcome again to Dream Career Talk Show. India is one of the fastest growing pet care markets in the world. In India alone, the number of pet dogs was about 19.3 million in 2018, and it is expected to grow to 31 million by end of 2023. And this is according to the reports by Statista. There have been multiple surveys done, and what is seen is the market is growing. In 2020, the global market for pet care was estimated at $207 billion. Dollars. Based on an analysis by Fortune Business Insights, the pet care market is projected to grow from $222 billion in 2021 to about $325 billion in 2028. So you can see how the market is growing and how this pet industry has been growing and has a huge potential in the future as well. So, the other aspect of pets is we have seen during the pandemic, there have been a lot of challenges people have been facing, especially when it came to mental health. People witnessed a lot of challenges around this. And through the sciences, through the research done, it is proven that if you have pets, then it will help you in your mental well being as well. So, in our today's episode of Talk Show, we have someone special who's always been fascinated and passionate about pets. He himself has been around pets, and you will see him almost every time on social media with his pets. So, he is a proud dog dad of five for the past 7+ years. I've known Saurav and I've seen the passion around pets, and he is somebody who is passionate about dogs and is also publishing his book, which you can see on the screen as well, and behind him is as well on the screen, right? Which is titled Saved by the Devil. So, without further ado, let me introduce to you somebody who is also a director of an MNC, who is a loving husband and a wanderer, and of course, the dog dad of five for the past 7+ years. Saurav, welcome to Dream Career Talk Show.
Thank you, Fatah. Thank you so much for having me here. It's definitely a good platform for me to talk about some of the pains around the pet industry. So, thank you again.
Welcome, and let me tell you here something personal. This will be one of the best episodes for my kids because they love dogs a lot, right? So they will be happy to hear about the pet industry and something that someone that they love the most, right? The pets, and of course, especially the dogs that my kids also love. So, how did you enter into this? Like, were you always fascinated from your childhood, or something that you built over a period of time for the love for pets?
So, it's an interesting question because you are asking this, right? So, and I'll kind of give the entire backdrop. So, since childhood, I've always been fascinated by pets. I've always wanted to have pets and all that. But as it happens in most Indian family, my mom used to say, "Ek kutta ghar pe kafi hai," saying that I was the dog that is good enough. So could never get a dog. But I've been always fascinated with pets. So we used to feed the strays outside, but never had one of our own staying with us, right? Till the time I got married, and my wife is as passionate about pets or maybe more than me. So we finally decided to take the plunge and get our own. So we got Devil. So the book name Saved by the Devil. Devil is actually the name of our eldest son. Um, we don't have human kids. For us, the our pets are our own blood. That's what we think. So Devil is our eldest son, and that's the entire book about is how he came into our life and saved us, taught us a lot of things. Um, my passion around pets, I would say I was always fascinated by them. I wanted to have it, but I did not actually know it was my passion. Till the time that one fine day when you and I talked and you guided me saying, "Hey, Saurav, based on what you've been talking about, I think you are passionate about pets." That point of time, they're saying, right? Dimag mein batti jala. That's what happened. That's when I realized that deep inside, I always was fascinated about it. There were a lot of pain that I had around the pet, having pets at home, and that gave me the direction that I want to go ahead and help people understand their pets better. When we talk about pet industry, there's a lot of potential, but for me, my drive is the pain I had. When I got Devil, there was nobody to tell us how do you manage a dog? What are the things that should happen? There were a few friends who guided, but there was no hand holding, right? Training a dog. All of that is new for a new pet parent. And I made the mistake, though I don't regret it anymore, is I went for a husky at the very start. You know, I did not realize that getting a husky in Bombay, I am fulfilling my dreams about always having a husky, but that poor fellow, in such a hot climate, he is not meant to be a dog in a hot climate. So the different things that we learned over the last 7 years, I have got about five. We got one dog every year. We adopted two. We rescued one. So it's not just that we bought, right? And we learned. Initially, I was not exactly a good father. I used to scold them, maybe even beat them a little. But over the 7 years, I learned, how to be a good dog dad. That's been my biggest pain, and that's the one that I'm working on. So all my YouTube videos, Facebook post, Instagram reels is around educating new pet parents on how you should deal with that, because that is something that does not exist today. There is, in the pet industry, there's a lot of things about pet wellness, pet health, but there is very less education on pet parenting. So that's what my niche is all about. That's what my passion is all about, and I got this thanks to you.
No, but I think one thing that I love about you, Saurav, is the way that you see the pets, right? When you started about it, you said Devil is our eldest son. So, and then your tone actually changed when you were talking about this, right? So we can feel the emotions that you are connected with it. And I think that's the same thing that the first conversation between me and you, again, striked when you were talking about the pet so passionately, and you were so emotional when it came to that topic. Though you come with a lot of experience from a lot of industries, being in the corporate world and all, right? But something that was very well connected with heart. So this is really amazing to see the things that you are doing here. So now, when you started, right, you said you got the first pet and then you started seeing challenges. What kind of challenges did you initially face when you got this pet in your house?
So that's a very good question. And that's where my pain is all about, right? There are a lot of things that happens. Um, One of the things which is very a little, it basically is says that India has to grow a lot from a pet management standpoint. Is that when somebody is supposed to have a human child, right? There are different programs around prenatal packages around how do you deal with that, postnatal, what are the different vaccines need to happen. All those educations exist for a human child, but when you're about to become a dog owner, I mean, everybody starts off being a dog owner. I wouldn't say that you start off as being a pet parent. There's a very different mindset shift happens when you move from a dog owner to a dog parent, or a pet owner to a pet parent, right? So when you get a pet for the first time, there is no hand holding on what should be the right pet for your family. People most often than not want to buy a dog that they think is good looking. It's all about the face value of the dog, not necessarily whether that dog will fit into your lifestyle or not. Nobody, very rarely people think that, hey, I'm a family of five. I've got my mom, dad, I've got my wife, I've got my kids. Which is the dog that will work? I stay in a 2 BHK apartment or a 1 BHK apartment or a bungalow. People don't think about all of those scenarios. They generally go for a dog because they've seen that dog somewhere. They're like, let's buy it. I was one of that. I wanted to husky since childhood. Just to add a quick anecdote or a story around it, the reason why I wanted a husky is because I actually wanted a wolf. I am a huge fan of Phantom, the Ghost Who Walks comic book character. He has a wolf called as Devil. So that's where it happened. The next best thing to a wolf is getting a husky. So, and obviously I named him Devil because Phantom's wolf is Devil. So I always wanted that since I think seventh, sixth standard. So when I got the opportunity, I went for it. Once I went for it, I realized that not doing justice to that poor guy. He's a husky, has a lot of fur. Bombay is hot, is humid, not a good climate for him. So what did I do? I compensated by having AC 24 by 7. But it limited that poor guy, a big dog, generally husky is medium to large, into one room because I could not have AC throughout. That was the second challenge. A dog like a husky needs a lot of exercise. We people, when we buy, people working in MNC and corporate, we don't think about that aspect. Do we have the time to take them out for walks, give them the exercise they need, right? Most often than not, in tier 1 cities, metropolitan areas, people take their dogs out for a walk to do potty and pee pee, not necessarily to give them that exercise that they need. That was another thing that I realized, mistake. So we uh, opted by getting a dog walker because we did not have the time to spend with him, which is another concern that we realize is that, hey, we got a dog, he's our eldest son, but we don't have the time to spend with him. So what happened was, starting with getting a dog, one problem after another started cropping up, and I started feeling the pain that, hey, he's my eldest son, I'm not getting time to spend with him, I'm not able to take him out for a walk, he's limited to one room, which is the only room which has AC. He needs to have the love and care that I wanted to give him when I got him. But what I did was, as a owner, I went for the shiny object syndrome and wanted to go for something that might have not been suitable for my family. At that point of time, a small dog would have been more better for my family, like a beagle, or a pom or something like that. A spitz. Did not realize I went for it. But at this point of time, I don't regret that decision. We've learned a lot. Um, the book is about exactly that, the 7 lessons that my 5 kids have taught me over the last 7 years. Every year there was a lesson. Sometimes there was the lesson came back saying that, hey, this was a lesson we taught you. You did not listen. You goofed up. So it was reiteration. That's the book all about. The pains that I faced while we were bringing them up, and it was also one of the reasons when me and my wife got an opportunity to move to Shillong, Meghalaya. We did not think twice. It was going to be good for my husky. I can't give him the Siberian experience, but at least better than Mumbai. Bigger area for him to walk, talk, and because I was going work from home, I was now finally able to give him time that he deserved. So that was my biggest pain. The challenge that as a new pet owner and trying to transition to become a parent, which I feel I have done now, um, I did not have the hand holding that was needed, guidance that was needed, and I had to learn it in the hard way. And I feel for some time my kids suffered for it. So that's one of the things that I want to change. That's the reason I get into all my social posts so that people can reach out to me, ask me for guidance. I'm not into money for that front. It's all about ensuring that the problems I faced, anybody else does not. They get the time to enjoy with them, because one of the biggest fear and sadness that most pet owners and pet parents have is that their life is short. We will most often than not outgrow them, right? How do we ensure you get the maximum out of them? And that's what I felt, and I want to help others get the maximum out of them. So my vision is pretty much ensuring that you know pet owners, I mean dog owners, transition to become a dog parent and enjoy the most with their kids.
Amazing. That's really wonderful knowing your mission that you have and the passion around pets. Now, in some time, we will get to the 7 lessons that you have learned. But if you have to share, because one of the mistakes that you identified in the beginning was selecting maybe a wrong pet in the initial stage. Now, if we look at people out there, right, when they are selecting the pets, now from your 7 years of experience through whatever you have had your pets and interacting with others and all, uh, how would you recommend people in terms of choosing pets in the initial stages, or what would be the steps that can help people to choose the right pets for them?
So the way I would look at it, approach it, is very analytical. Yes, having a pet is a lot emotional, but the emotional factors comes later on. Once you get a pet, doesn't matter the size or the breed. They are so cute and amazing, you will fall in love with them, right? But when you select them, you have to be a little analytical, logical. So one of the first thing is understand how many members of the family you have. Yes, what dogs feed the requirement for all of them, not just your need. Chances are, like in my case, I wanted a dog, but I was going to be in office all the time. So the actual person who's going to take care of devil was my mom and my dad. Were they capable of handling devil? No. He's husky, he's strong, So that I did not think about it. Who are the people who are going to spend more time with the dog? You might get them, but there's somebody else who's going to take care of them, spend more time. So think about asking your family members what kind of dog would they prefer. Most of the time, because people have not gone for a dog, you're a first time dog owner, people would say I don't want it, right? So don't ask whether you want a dog or not, because you've already made a decision you want a dog. Ask them what size would you want. Do you think you can take care of a big dog, or do you prefer a small dog? The second thing to consider would be your apartment size. And I'm talking from a tier 1 city or metropolitan city. Do you have a 3 BHK apartment or a 1 BHK apartment? Getting a German Shepherd or a Tibetan Mastiff in a 1 BHK apartment, I don't want to say, but it's going to be a very foolish decision, right? So think about the space. Think about, is there a park nearby to your house or not? Third thing, are there veterinarians or hospitals nearby? Do you have the facility for medicinal hospitals, anything that is health related nearby to your place? When we get a dog, we don't think about that. That is one of the important thing to think about. If you don't have a veterinary nearby or a hospital nearby, how are you going to take care of vaccination? Even if I keep the vaccination aside, what happens if they get injured? Who's going to take care of them if you don't have it nearby? That is something you have to think. You cannot bring a child to this world, a human child to this world, and not have a hospital or something nearby to take care of them when they have fever or something, health wise, a problem health wise. It's the same thing for dogs. So these three things are important, right? Check with your family member, what would they prefer. Check your apartment size, areas around you. Three, veterinary hospital. Third, sorry, fourth, time commitment. Do you actually have the capability to give them time commitment? You getting a dog, and assume you don't have a family member to take care of, just your husband and wife. You have a dog, you both go to office. That poor dog is going to be left alone. Dogs by nature are not animals that like to stay alone. They evolved from wolves and all that, which were pack animals. People tend to forget that. Once you get a dog into your family, it becomes part of your pack. When you leave that guy alone, he is going to get depressed. He's going to suffer from anxiety. There are different toys out in the market. Recently in one of the Shark Tank episode, Pause, I believe, came out with a toy that would automatically run around, keep the dog playing around and all that. But those are workarounds you're trying to find because you know you're going to keep this dog alone. But in the long run, it is not healthy. In the long run, the dog will stop being social. You will have more problems dealing with the dog. So keep that in mind. Are you capable to give that time commitment? If you are not, if you're not ready for it, don't go for one. You can always wait for some more time. Keep in mind, your life is 70 years longer or more. That dog's life is 10 to 12 years. You will always have the capability to get a dog 1 or 2 years down the line when you are able to give them time. So that's what I would suggest all people thinking about getting a dog.
That are like some amazing insights there, and thank you for going in depth, like, because we know the kind of compassion you have for the pets, right? Considering all those and sharing that thought process and the insights, this is wonderful. Now, one
And
thing you
can I add
mentioned,
something?
yeah, yeah, go ahead,
Uh,
please.
I just, that was going on the back of my mind, and I kind of took a pause and kind of left out. But
Yeah, yeah,
the
go ahead.
other thing is, I talked all about getting a dog if you had to buy one. But here's the funny part, right? There's so many strays out there. They're amazing. I have rescued one. I have adopted a few. They are amazing dogs, and the Indian Paraya stray indie dogs, they are the most suitable for the Indian climate, right? Why would, again, if you remove that shiny object syndrome and look at, there are so amazing breeds out there, for us, most adapted to Indian culture. Why would I not? I mean, not culture, environment, and no nature and all that. Why wouldn't we think about rescuing or adopting a stray? Right? Think of that. There's benefits. There's a lot of benefits about adopting a stray. One, they are adopted to the culture, right? So less grooming, less maintenance. The other thing is, The fact that you they are so used to the situation around people abusing them and all that, they are a lot more docile. You might not have to, and they are very easy to train. Very easy to train. My Indie, German Shepherd Indie mix, he picks up games. His name is Lex. He's my third child. He picks up games. He picks up things much faster than any of the other guys, and I don't even have to play with him. So Ollie is my second child, who's a beagle. I was playing catch with him. I used to play catch at the ball and fetch the ball with him. Lex was just about 2 months or 3 months old. He used to see me playing that with Ollie. He learned the game just by seeing. Now I don't get to play with Ollie more. I had to play with Lex because Lex has become much more adapted with that. He learns commands like this. It took me just 1 hour to teach him down. Just 1 hour. One day, fine day, I thought, let me try that. That's it. It's a lot more effort for me to teach that to a husky or beagle. But Lex learned it. It's because the Indian dog's temperament is amazing. They make one of the best dogs you can have. They would be amazing guard dogs. They would be amazing family dogs. So, other than just thinking about buying, I would definitely encourage people to rescue or adopt outside. I mean, first of all, it's free, yeah, and they're so amazing. They love you. I mean, dogs would love you and all that. So, what's the harm? What's the harm, right? Dog breeding, and one of the other pain that I see is, and this is a good forum for me to talk about it. Maybe a little controversial, but because the demand for buying good-looking, pure breed and all of that dog is there, right? Somebody is like, I want to get a mastiff, I want to get a beagle, I want to get a husky, all of that. Because the demand is there, the supply is there, but the supply is not ethical. There are good ethical dog breeders. There are a few of my friends who are ethical dog breeders, but there are a lot more unethical dog breeders. If anybody goes into YouTube and tries or Insta and tries to see how dog breeding is done, it's very, I mean, I would technically say it's technically dog rape that happens a lot of time, right? But because they're dogs, people don't think about it. It's just people are breeding dogs left, right, and center to manage the demand of people having dogs, which leads to unethical practice. In the long run, the dog is not healthy, and the dog owner and parent suffers more. Because I wanted a good breed, went for it, and at the same time, just a classic example. Devil was my first dog I bought. Paid a good enough price. Good enough price, right? I don't want to quote the figure here, but good enough price. But nowadays, huskies are available at 25, 30,000 also. What people don't realize, husky is a different breed. If you're paying so lesser amount, might not necessarily be a purebred, might not necessarily be Kennel Club of India or certified, all of that. It might, chances are, produced through inbreeding. Inbreeding is when same litter, pup from same litters breed within each other and produce. A lot of hereditary defects that will happen. It's just that people want it, breeding is happening. Once you get it, you realize they have a lot of health problems. Who suffers? The pet owner, the pet parent. Because of their initial greed, you're suffering long time. The poor guy is also suffering. Why go for all of that? When God is giving us so amazing creatures outside our house, right? The love is common. The love is going to be same. Whether you buy a Mastiff, Husky, all of that, and a Indian, the love that you're going to get, which is the only thing that really matters, the love. We humans need them more than they need us, to be honest. The love is going to be the same. So why worry about getting a good breed? Why not an indie? So that's what I wanted to add. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that great perspective of looking at things, right? And this will obviously be a win-win for everybody, right? For the dogs who are available out there, and for people who want to really care and make a difference, along with like grooming or bringing up the dogs along with them. So that is amazing. And you were mentioning about in the beginning when you started, you said initially I was not a pet parent, right? I was just a dog owner. So how does the transition happen typically? Like, for you can talk about your journey, and for anybody, I know for everybody it would be different, the time zone or time range and all of it. but how can somebody make that shift of dog owner to a pet parent? Right? How does that happen?
So here's my belief, right? Or the definition, because there is no exact definition for that. There have been controversial topics about saying, hey, dog owners is fine and pet parent not necessarily so. But for me, the belief is that dog owners don't leave their children away. I mean, sorry, dog parents don't abandon their kids, right? If I am a parent, I will not let my child go, however bad, naughty, unwanted he is or she is. I will hold them. I will work towards disciplining them. So I feel that is the biggest difference. A pet parent, a dog parent is not going to abandon their children. But we do see a lot of dogs being abandoned. Even during COVID, what happened was there's statistics out there. People can Google it up that during COVID in India, India saw a huge peak in people buying and adopting dogs because you're alone at home. You needed help. You needed somebody to be with you, give you companionship and all of that. Great, right? What happened was it spiked a lot. As soon as COVID went down, the spike of people abandoning also went up because you no longer needed them. If I was a parent and I took a child, I am not going to let my child go. Classic example, everybody can see in Ukraine currently. People are leaving Ukraine with their pets, right? People are fighting, saying, I want to come to India, but I want to get my pets along. The Indian government approved. Those are pet parents. There's a war going on. They don't want to leave their child, right? Visa with somebody, there's a war going on. My life is more important. Let me run away, let the pet go. That's what I think is the biggest difference between an owner and a parent. A owner would not spend time understanding the behavior of the child. A classic example which I always give people is somebody bought a dog and then say like, hey, my dog barks. कुत्ता लिया है भैया, बिल्ली ले लेते हैं. Dog is supposed to bark, right? What they don't spend time to understand, why is the dog barking? A dog is supposed to bark, that's natural. But if he's barking beyond, you know, different, right? Not the natural way, there would be a reason for it. Try to understand that. A dog owner mentality would be, nahi jam raha hai, it's problem, let the dog go. A pet parent mentality would be, let me understand why he's doing that. Let me call in a trainer. Let me understand how I can improve that. That's what you're trying to learn. You're trying to help that kid out. Those are the few examples that I would say between a owner and a parent. That is my definition of it, is what I believe. And the transition is not easy. The transition is not easy because, as I said, the biggest pain is there is no one to guide a new pet parent or a dog owner on what he or she needs to know, right? Things about vaccination schedule, things about when to visit a dog, a vet, things about how to take care. Those are the things that you can Google up and find. But the entire mindset shift. Example is somebody gets a dog, and later on the dog stops behaving with them. They don't listen to them. The dog does what he wants. They then get a trainer. The dog listens to the trainer, but that still does not listen to the family member. That's a problem. How does one overcome that? A dog owner would think getting a trainer would solve the problem. Not necessary. The first thing is training a dog is easy. If you understand the psychology of your dog, you would be any pet parent can train a dog. I have proven that. I can have sessions to prove that. It's not difficult. The shift is, as a pet parent, I would spend time to understand my dog, how he or she thinks. And there's very easy to know that. People can register and do YouTube videos of Caesar Milan. He describes that in a very simple manner. But once you do that, things become easier rather than saying, hey, I'll get a trainer, let the trainer take care of it. You're trying to shift it away. That's what I would say is a dog owner mentality vis-a-vis a pet parent who wants to be more, part of the journey of the dog growing up. So that's the thing. And there's not much difference between a human child, the attitude towards a human child, and a pup or a dog, right? A parent, a good parent, human parent, is basically the one who's interest about child's education, seeing it growing up, coaching the child, and all that. The same mentality would apply when you have a dog. If you can do that way, you are a pet parent. If you want to be hands off, you are a dog owner. You need to work towards becoming a pet parent, a dog parent. Is it wrong to be a dog owner? No, it is not. As long as you're not abusing the dog, you're not abandoning the dog, you're treating it in the right manner, there is nothing wrong with being a dog owner. As long as you don't do these few things, right?
Wonderful. Thanks for sharing that. How actually the transition can be done, and giving those good examples about the pet owners or basically the pet parents, right? How does it differ in terms of the mindset? And giving some great examples there. Now, I know we need to cover a few things, but we have one good question here. Is it fine for us to pick it up? Yeah.
Sure, sure, sure.
Yeah, so we have Sudhir Kirloskar who is having this challenge, right? He has adopted two abundant adult street dogs. They find the smallest gap in the fence and prefer to stay on the street and chase the passerby. So the trainer said, my dogs are too old to train. Will it be good to chain the dog? What will be the consequences?
So it's a very the saying that you cannot teach a old dog new tricks is wrong. You can teach a dog any point of time. It's all about using the psychology of the dog to understand how you can train them. uh, the best way to train a dog is using a positive reinforcement technique. So, one, I would not encourage chaining the dog because what happens is, first of all, it's a stray. It spent its entire lifetime on the street, chasing passerbys, doing all of that. You've adopted it. Congrats to you. Hats off to you. You've done an amazing job. But chaining them is is very contradictory. Now that you've adopted them, let them go free. But there are few tips, tricks to train them to ensure that they don't run away. What you have to do is, and we can connect later on, Sudhir, about how to go about. But one of the first thing you have to do is you have to reward them for staying in the house. If the reward is greater than what they enjoy when they're outside chasing passerbys, they would stay with you. It's all about how do they realize that, hey, if I stay indoors, I get more, I enjoy more. If you can tag that psychology, they would not go out. That's where positive reinforcements and treats come into being. When they realize there is something better inside here than outside, they would not want to go out. How do you use that? How do you talk about it? That's the entire psychology of dog training. Unfortunately, so here's the funny part. Initially, when I got Devil, I got a trainer. I was new, I needed help. But the one thing that I did was I insisted with the trainer to be part of the entire training activity. The trainer used to say, hey, you are a distraction. My answer to him was, I paid you for a service, you manage the distraction, but I want to see what you're doing. Because one, when I got Devil, he became he was my son, right? So I wanted to ensure that he's not getting beaten up. I was scared. What if the trainer is whacking him to ensure that he obeys? So I wanted to be there. It came out of fear, but I learned a few things of how to train a dog. And then I used that with my other dogs as well. We did get another trainer for my beagle. It was a little difficult training him, but no. So I have used trainers. And one of the things I realized is that trainers would train the dog. They hardly train the parent. A trainer coming in will train the dog for 6 months, 8 months. They go away. Lifetime तो वो मेरे साथ रहेगा ना. If my dog is listening to the trainer but not listening to me, क्या फायदा, right? So that is where a pet parent or dog owner learning how to train is more important, because the trainer would come in, teach the dog tricks and all of that, which is fine, but he will or she will go away. After that, the parent or the owner has to manage that. It happens very commonly with this kind of training is that the dog will listen to the trainer every time but not listen to the parent. Why? Because the trainer did not take the effort to teach the parent how to maintain. Most dog trainers are very good at establishing authority with a dog. They don't teach the parent to do that. So what happens? Trainer, I mean, it's like a child. When he goes to school, he listens to the teacher, but when he comes home, he does not listen to the parent, right? पहले टीचर सिखाती है, टीचर डंडा मारती है, Parents don't do that. So same mentality. That's the scenario. So India has to evolve from that training standpoint. But as Sudhir said, it's all about ensuring. See, currently the strays enjoy doing that activity, running outside the fence, chasing cars, chasing passerby. It's fun. If you can give them something which is more fun inside, they would not do that. It's all about, I call this the trick of confusing their nose to train their eyes and ears. Cesar Milan says the way dog psychology works is dog is all about nose, eyes, and ears. Right? Humans are more about eyes, ears, and nose later on. So once you know that psychology, you can then train them better. But reward them more for being inside, and that behavior will stop. The age doesn't matter. You can always teach an old dog new tricks. Possible.
Wonderful. So thank you for answering that question in such a beautiful way. Now, you have mentioned about five dogs. You have been a pet parent for 7+ years. So, who are these five, right? And what are the seven lessons you have learned in the last 7 years?
So the five are Devil. Obviously, I've talked about him a lot. He's a Siberian Husky. The second one is Ollie. So I generally have named my dogs on comic book characters. So Ollie's full name is Oliver Queen. He's a DC comic book character. He's a beagle. Um, Adopted. The third one is Lex. He's a indie. He's an indie GSD mix. I believe he's a GSD mix because of his color. We know for sure he's indie. Don't actually know what mix he is. We call it GSD mix. We assume because he's got the brown and black coat that German shepherds have. Um, Rescued, and all of this that I'm saying, I've given all of that story of all of that in my book. It's all there, and we'll come to that. What are the seven lessons? So the third one is Lex. The fourth one, and it's a little dicey. So the fourth youngest is Bucky. Um, Bucky is a Lhasa Apso, adopted. A friend of mine had a Lhasa Apso who gave birth. He was not able to find anybody, so I got it. So that's Bucky. Full name Bucky Barnes. For Lex, the full name is Lex Luthor. Uh, and finally, I have Astra, another husky. We got her. We bought her because we were initially thinking of breeding Devil, but things did not happen the way it is. So after a point of time, we decided not to breed our dogs at all because unfortunately, we between me and my wife, our thought process is we cannot. I mean, if we breed our dogs, technically those are our grandchildren. We cannot give our grandchildren. Either we keep them all or we don't breed at all. It was like that. So we thought we are not ready to one have grandchildren, two give our grandchildren away. That is never going to happen. So that's there. We got Astra before Bucky. So technically, order of getting them, Astra would be fourth, but by age, Bucky is fourth and Astra is the youngest. So that's the scenario. The lessons that we learned, are some quite common lessons that people understand, but you don't kind of realize those are lessons. The first lesson that Devil taught us was you cannot take things for granted. You just cannot, because what happened is initially, during our married life, the first year was a little turbulent. There were times when we would have walked away from each other, but we both kept coming back because we had Devil, right? So our thought process was that marriage, and me and my wife love marriage, right? So the expectation is this will last forever because we got married after being in love for quite some time, but it was turbulent. We had taken it for granted that we will last. It did not happen. At the same time, with Devil, we know that he's going to go before us, right? That's a very difficult topic for me to talk about every time I cry, but we know that is going to happen. So that is also taken for granted. But what we realize is that we took our love marriage for granted, but it had turbulence, right? So anything that you expect will last forever not does not necessarily have to last forever. And things that is going to end up soon, right? Devil will pass away. We know it's going to happen. But the fact is he's going to stay forever in our hearts. So never assume and take things for granted was the first lesson that he taught us. Right? Don't do that. Things will change in life. Never take anything for granted, because life is wonderful. There'll be new things for you. Don't just assume, because when you do that, you build more pain for yourself, right? The second lesson that we learned was pretty much all about having gratitude in your hearts, because there were situations where we were in trouble. We just did not know what to have do, and then help came out from an unexpected source. Sometimes, I mean, the unexpected source was devil, be Ollie. It help came out from there, and we did not even realize. So what we realized was that when you have gratitude in your heart, you thank God, thank the universe for everything, life becomes easier. Your outlook changes. From being a negative person, you become positive. And when you have positivity, nothing can go wrong. You know, that was the second lesson. The third lesson was all about having love, being open to receiving love, not being selfish, being open to love, because love is there in abundance. If you open your heart, you are not jealous, you are not selfish about things. It's not about me, 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 me. It's about doing something more. Help will come, you will have more love, you will, it changes you as a person, right? So that was there. The fourth lesson was the most toughest lesson for us. It was that something that Astra taught us. She went through 2 years of a demodex infection. Um, and I honestly, that is something I would not even, first of all, I don't have enemies, but if I had one, if I had an arch rival, arch nemesis, as in comic book, I would not even wish this on them. I would never want any dog to go through a bad demodex infection. We went through that. She suffered a lot. I have in my book, I have tried to be pictorial, see, given pictures of the kind of infection it was, how bad it was. We did not give up on her, and she also did not give up on us. She fought, we fought, and today she is amazingly healthy. There was a point of time she did not have hair in her body. She was bleeding everywhere, pussing throughout her body. It was bad. People called her ugly dog and all that. Now, completely different. People will not even know that, when she had that this is the same dog. So she taught us patience, because at this point of time, we did not think about giving up. We just kept on, taking care of her, taking her to the doctor, treating her. And this happened during COVID time. Hospitals were closed, all of that. But we took care. We called up the doctors on phone. They told us what to do. We took all of that. It was 2 years of pain, and then finally the reward is so amazing. She's healthy, she runs around, all of that. So it was about patience. If you have patience, there's always going to be a good thing at the end. Just don't give up. Which is the third one? Sorry, I think I lost order. I think the fifth one is about don't give up, right? On any journey that you start, whether it is your married life, whether it is your business, whether it is work, don't give up. When you give up, you are actually losing out on the good things that is going to come to you. So that's the fifth lesson. The sixth one was pretty much about how I was as a dog owner. I was angry. You know, um, I used to, as I said, I used to beat. Ollie used to get beaten by me because he did not listen. Lex also. Um, so anger is a signal, which is bad, right? One needs to control that. One is to control the emotions. If you're feeling angry, and this is not just about dogs, right? We get angry on silly things. We get angry on our parents for no reason. When we were a child, we used to ask one question 10 times, 20 times. They used to patiently answer. Why is it that when they do that now, when they're old, we get angry, right? So that was what we learned. What I learned was that I used to get angry for no reason, because I did not, as a dog owner mentality, I did not take time to understand them. I did not take time to know why they are behaving the way it is. Over the last 7 years, and this is something that I've talked in this chapter in the book, is I created a framework of understanding the hierarchy of parents or people in the family in a dog house. When I say dog house, is basically if you have a dog in your house and you've got, you're not just husband wife, but if you have parents staying with you, children, there's a hierarchy. The dog is not going to react the same way with all the humans in the house. They will have different behaviors with each individual in the house. I have seen that in my family. And it cannot be coincidence that all my five dogs, they behave a different way with my mother, they behave a different way with my father, they behave a different way with my wife, they behave a different way with me. All five the same way they behave. It means that there is a particular hierarchy in the house, right? What is that hierarchy? That is what I've talked about in the book, in this chapter, where it was all about me being the angry dog owner to transitioning to take time to understand them. Because once the framework became clear, I realized why they are behaving that way. And then there's another framework that I've introduced is about how do you transition to being, the framework, the initial framework is about at the lowest level is something called as a gamma, where the dog is bigger than the human in the house, to being an alpha of respect, where you are now the commander. In the first step, the lowest bottom, the pet is the commander. The last one is the human is the commander. The next framework is all about how do you transition in that manner. You don't have to beat them up. You should not be beating them up. I have done that. Doesn't work. It only ends up being in a case where the dog fears you so much that one day he's going to come back and bite you. Do something that they are not supposed to do because you, as a human, did it wrong at the start. And how do you transition that? So that's the entire chapter all about controlling anger, spending more time to understand the dog psychology, why your dog is reacting the way they are, and how do you transition to being in a stage where your dog listens to you and you have more joy and enjoyment in your life because you understand them, they understand you, and there's more happiness. And the final chapter is about not thinking about the future, because when you think too much about the future, you stop living in the present. You stop enjoying the present. You're always worried about what's going to happen, and you lose the present. The present is very fleeting. If you don't spend time it will go away. Then later on in the future you will struggle. I see a lot of parents thinking about the child's future. अरे बच्चे को अच्छे कॉलेज में पढ़ाना है, शादी करवाना है, all of that. Hey, the child is young. Spend time with them now, because this, when, keep in mind, you figured things out. You figured your future out. Your child will also figure it out. But if you, in trying to figure out their future, if you don't give them the love in the present, later on, they will be angry with you. You will say, "Hey, I did it for your future," and the child will say, "The future, I would have taken care of that, mom. What I wanted was you with me in the present." Right? For us, dog parents, pet parents, the problem is the future. May we know they will go away before us, so we end up being sad. For me, every time me and my wife talk about it, we both cry. But then we realize, अरे यार वो तो होगा 5-6 साल में. अभी तो enjoy कर लूं. Let me hug them, let me pet them, let me play with them. That is more important. So don't think about the future. Enjoy the present. That is more important. So those are the 7 lessons.
So these are some wonderful 7 lessons, and of course, I have also learned from this, right? So thank you for sharing those. And now that you have been there in this particular industry with the pets for about 7 plus years, right? How do you see this industry? Because you have been into pets in terms of how do you actually take them to the vets, right? So you have seen how the careers of vets are, how much do they charge, and you have been getting into pet food, right? And you also have been into dog training, like got your dogs trained. How do you see this industry in the past, and how do you see this in the future as well?
So I will talk from a India market standpoint. I think there's a huge, huge potential for the pet industry in India. At this point of time, everything is a potential, is a possibility, right? Uh, there are a lot of biggies in the market currently, and they are concentrating more around pet health and pet grooming, right? So you have a lot of competition there. Pet food industry, Bruce, Captain Zack, uh, dogs for tails, dogs up for tails, and there's a lot of I mean, if to name dogspot.in, wiggles.in, super tails, there are a lot of brands out there who are working towards grooming and food. There are also companies, brands that are moving into online veterinary support, which is great, right? So you've got that figured out. But dog boarding, dog grooming, That's another industry that you have a lot of potential in, right? Uh, Doc travel. India is so behind, except for Air India and maybe SpiceJet. There's no other airlines that allows dogs to be carried on board. Air India allows two dogs, I believe, or two pets in the flight. SpiceJet or was it Indigo? Not sure, but you can take them in cargo. Again, there's a limited possibility. So if I, as a pet parent, had to travel out, very less option for me. Though I'll be honest, between me and my wife, we feel Indian Airways is amazing. If you can, if you're willing to travel, take that train journey. Indian Railways is one of the best transportation mode available because this is what I say. Indian Railways treat pets as VIPs because pets can only travel first class. Humans तो third class में भी travel कर सकता है, but pets के लिए first class ही चाहिए. You know that way. I have done 4 journeys with my dogs from Bombay to Guwahati. It takes about 3 days. Amazing. We booked first class. We spent time with Devil, with Ollie, with Bucky. It was amazing experience. But obviously, you have to take 3 days out. People prefer flying faster, but not much opportunity. So there's a huge opportunity in someone to crack the code in pet travels. India does not have a lot of pet friendly hotels or resorts. Few are there, but not so much. I travel to US a lot. Almost every other hotel is a pet friendly hotel, right? You could stay with your dogs, but India money, that's another opportunity. Food. Dog food has become such a huge thing to talk about. Everybody is getting into dog food. Every other day there is a different psychology about dog food. Somebody talks about kibbles, drools, is one of the market leaders here. Pedigree hai, you have Royal Canine, a lot of other focus is there, a lot of things is there. But that's kibbles. What about home cooked food? A lot of the brands are moving into different kinds of home cooked food products. Soups, dried soups like Nor, you have those available also now. Where you could just take it out, put water, and soup is ready. You Freeze dried foods. So much option in the dog food industry. Yes, you have competition, but at the same time, if you can do something different, potential है market में. So I feel the dog industry is at its nascent in India. There are no good laws about, and I am saying more dog because I am a dog daddy. I'm yet to become a cat dad or any other dog dad. Hopefully soon. Um, any other animal dad. Hopefully soon. But huge potential in the market of different things, right? And everything is a pain. One of the things that I realized is once I started my journey on LinkedIn, I was able to connect with a lot of people from different, different brands or different organizations in the dog industry. One thing I realized was passion. This industry is fueled by people who are passionate about pets. Most often than not, people who have these different brands they're chasing is because they're so passionate about the animals. They're doing it because not, I mean, money would always be a factor, but they somehow have felt the pain. You know, a good example is the owner of Captain Jack, Mohit Lalwani. He got into this because his cat had an ear infection and passed away. Um, that was the passion that fueled him. He left a thriving business. He sold that off to start Captain Jack, fueled by passion. So this industry has passionate people because the pain is real. India is still growing as a very nascent market, huge potential if somebody can think outside the box and do something, right? You don't have to be global or world. End of the day, as long as you're serving a need, helping dogs in and around your, helping pets in and around your locality, you have potential. That's what I feel about the pet industry today in India.
Great. Thank you for expanding the context and helping us identify the various opportunities in the marketplace, right? Especially even in the pet food industry. You spoke about soups, you spoke about homemade food, right? There are so many things. And yes, of course, somebody has to be passionate about it if they want to solve the problem. And if they are able to solve the problem, then of course byproduct is money, right? Byproduct is all that they want in their lives. And you have also been somebody who like started your journey on LinkedIn talking about pet parenting and all of it. How do you see this in terms of like there are influencers who are talking on various things, Now you started talking about pets, and you already been interviewed with some big players there in the pet industry. So how do you see this market?
I honestly would want to have this market grow. It's fine if I'm not the influencer. For me, it is not about me. I would really appreciate if the biggies out there take this into account and grow, because dog owners need to be educated. Uh, India needs, and this is a quote by Captain Jack's owner Mohit Lalwani. India has a lot more dog owners and very less parents. This has to change, right? And he's right. We need a lot more pet parents, because pet parents won't abandon their kids, right? But that shift will only happen with education, will happen with the mindset changing. So this is the biggest passion that drives me, and I would want this to change for sure. I am doing whatever I can. I will continue to do this. I will not stop. If people don't like my LinkedIn, they don't like my YouTube, it's fine. Insta पसंद नहीं है चलेगा. I have had hate, comments. For me, every time you give me a hate comment, I am going to thank you because you have taken the effort to read and tell me what I did wrong. I'm going to make that correction. Today you hate me, tomorrow you will love me, because one, you give me feedback saying, hey, you are telling this wrong thing. I will do more research and tell you the right thing next time. But this is my driving factor today about education. Yes, sometimes I have to shift away from, I can't do education videos every day. So sometimes I shift away to maybe writing article, making some funny post about my dogs, because unfortunately TikTok has moved the world's attention span away. People can no longer sit and listen to a video that is 1 hour long, 2 minutes long, needs 30 seconds, 10 seconds thing. So sometimes I have to do that. But my intention is always to ensure that at least 3 videos a week talking about something that pet parents can understand. It's also about ensuring that people now know that there is a guy, a stranger called Saurav Roy, who's available to talk if you have some questions. I do get people reaching out to me on Instagram saying, hey, I have a pet. What can I do? Feel free to reach out to me. I am not going to charge you. This is not for money. I would want to ensure that you don't feel the pain that I felt and you enjoy your life with your kids, because, as I said before, more than they needing us, we need them. That love that they give us is selfless. Even when we love somebody, there is something we are thinking, "Arey, kuch to milega." But when they love you, they are not expecting anything in return. They love you from the bottom of your heart. So that's why it's all about that.
That's a great thought process. And like I always tell this, intent comes first and content comes next, right? So it
Agree.
clearly shows off your intent there, right? And thank you for being that person who is bringing the change. Yes, of course, every change starts with one person. I'm sure there are people at different corners also trying to bring that change there. So yeah, you are also one among those who is doing that, and we can see that shift happening as well. So great. And so moving forward, how do you see this industry in terms of, like, if somebody wants to enter into this particular industry, right? You already spoke about the different things that they can get into, right? But moving forward, post this pandemic and the way it is looking in the future, how do you see this industry?
So um, the thing is about this industry is the same as any other industry. When you want to enter it, you have to do your research and know what you should cater with. Don't try to compete with it's about the blue ocean and the red ocean strategy, right? Don't try to compete with the people who are leading this industry. Unless until you have a product that is very viable and is going to change the market, then it's a different scenario. But I think getting into this industry is all about the passion. If you have the passion, if you're not willing to stop, you know think of it this way, as you said, intent, right? You are here to make a difference for their lives. If as long as that passion is there, you will be get somewhere. Where you will get, unfortunately I cannot guide, because there's so much potential. I talked about travel, pet travel industry, pet food industry, pet grooming industry, pet boarding industry. There is also the potential of different kind of cleaning, right? When you have a pet at home, there are different products are needed to clean the house, air fragrance. All of that is also possible. It's how you think of an innovative idea and take it forward. The potential is limitless. Today, we have people, going in Shark Tank talking about different pet industry. We have investors investing a lot in different existing companies already in India to scale them up and grow. We have the government of India providing subsidiary for people who are getting into the pet food industry because there is shortage currently. There's a huge food shortage, so that's the reason other players are getting into that. So potential is limitless. What you think about it and how you address it, and passion, right? Don't give up. Keep trying because you are here not to earn money. You are here to make a difference to the pets. If you are able to do that, you will win.
Great. And you spoke about the seven lessons and whatever you capturing in your book, and we see your book right behind you, right? So, when is this book coming out, and who is this book intended for? Is it like only for dog owners or dog parents, or is it like for the entire pet industry? Who is this for?
So the book is about the seven lessons we have learned, right? Or they have taught us. So I wouldn't say it is only for dog owners because the lessons that I have learned is applicable for most humans. Never giving up, controlling your emotions. Never assuming. This is not for dog owners. This is not for pet parents. This is not for. It's applicable for almost everybody. So the book can be bought, read by anybody and everybody because those are some, I wouldn't say profound lessons. These are basic lessons that we should know, but we as humans forget. And then we need a book or a disaster like COVID to teach us basic things. So this book is meant for everybody. Um, so the book was supposed to get launched on 22nd Feb, based on a feedback from a very dear friend. I'll name her Alankrita Khera. Uh, we decided to delay because there were some changes that needed to happen. It's my first book, and I obviously want to ensure that I do justice to that. The book that you see behind me is one of a kind in a sense. This is the only copy that I have, and the reason we got that was because when I wrote the book, right, and I would say I'm not the only one. My wife contributed a lot, so it was a combined game. Even though you see my name, it is both her and mine effort. When we wrote the book, we wrote it from an author's mentality, right? How do we shift that to being a reader and seeing if the book is connecting? So we thought, let's get us a copy. So we got two copy. One I gave to Dave, you know, separate topic to talk about, but obviously for him, he's uh, the genius behind all of us, right? So there. The second book was more for us to read the book and see how it feels. Because when you're reading a book, even though you're the author of that book, when you're reading it with actual book and copy, your mindset shifts to being a reader. And then we were able to identify, hey, there's a problem. ये transition बराबर से नहीं किया. So then we learned, we are reading it and we're trying to understand, okay, ऐसा हो रहा है, So then it is guiding me saying that, okay, I need to go ahead and change this paragraph or build more storyline around the transition. So that is what I'm doing between me and my wife. We are reading the book, going back and correcting as an author, reading is as a reader, going back and correcting as an author. We should be able to complete all of that by pretty much last week of March. The intention is to have this book online on April 11th. That's my birthday. This book is going to be a gift for myself and to everyone who wants to read about it. So that's the target that I'm chasing currently. And I'm sure we'll make it.
Great, and we are looking forward for it. All the best for your book. And yes, we had a great discussion around pet parenting. And before we end this session, anything that you want to share, that you want to give as a message to the audience, or you want to share before we conclude on this particular episode?
So the only message that I'm going to share, I've talked a lot, but one of the things that I'll say is anybody who's looking at getting a dog, a pet, adopt, rescue, those guys need our help more than you wanting to buy. The less the demand for buying, the less the supply, the less the unethical practices. The more you adopt, the more you rescue. You're changing. You're making an impact to somebody. You will feel good. One, you'll feel good, and the love they are going to give is, I mean, a love by a local dog or a mastiff or a husky or a beagle or whatever breed is not going to be different. ऐसा नहीं है कि just because you bought this, you paid 30,000, 1 lakh for this dog, he's going to love you more. Like, the love is same. तो why go for that shiny object कि मेरे को ये breed चाहिए? अरे सब dog pure breed होता है यार. After all, they're bred between two dogs, no? It's not that you're getting a dog between a dog and a horse, no? So technically, everything is a pure breed. It's a pure dog. Adopt karo, rescue karo. The love is going to be same. as I said, we need them more than they need us.
Yeah, of
Thank you.
course. Right. Thank you for sharing that beautiful message to conclude this episode. Because yes, of course, there is always like the intent, and also this is like a win-win for everybody. You rescue the dogs, they get your love, you get their love, and as you said, we need it. We humans need it more than these dogs. So thank you for sharing all those wonderful insights about your experiences and how people can actually start looking at dogs from a different point of view and become a pet parent. Right. And thank you for all those great insights. And thanks everyone for being here. We had some wonderful people out there watching us, sharing their comments. Right. We had Vijay, we had Sudhir Kirloskar asking his question. We had Dr. Saubam. We had, yes, Vijay Kodali. And we also had one of India's number one top coaches, BSR, Dr. Upendra Singh Rathod, who is also there with us to share and then to encourage us. So thank you everyone for being there. And thanks
Thank you,
once
everyone.
again, Saurabh, for being on the show.
Thanks, Fatah. Thank you so much for having me. It was a
Yeah.
pleasure.
Thank you. And thanks again, once again, everyone. And yes, of course, stay tuned because we are going to bring more people, wonderful people like Saurav and others who are going to share about their experiences and how they started their careers and how they were able to build their dream careers and work around whatever they love. So, see you again, once again, in the upcoming shows. So, stay tuned. Till there, stay safe, stay blessed. Good night.